But what's going to become a semi-regular Thursday feature before every Giants home game, and maybe even a big road game as well down the road, is the Sims Spotlight, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Tea proudly joining us is Phil Sims. Phil, what's going on? You got Schmoke and Totino here.
Yeah, well, everything's going on. I mean, a lot of football games to watch during the week. Exciting first 2 weeks. And, hey, listen, after the summer and the whole off season we had, I'm so happy football's here, and so far I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Phil. And by the way, for the fans out there, you can submit your questions to Phil at #GiantsChat. We will put up a post every Tuesday. You can reply to that, and we'll get your questions to Phil. And, Phil, we got some really good questions actually coming in from some of our fans. We'll get to them in a second. But I want to go here first because the Giants are playing the 49ers this week. They are really banged up. How do you think this affects what the 49ers are going to do this week on both sides of the ball? What have you seen from them on tape the first 2 weeks of this season?
Well, you know, the first thing and always with the 49ers, two things. Rush defense, guys that can rush the passer, and running the football. That's what you see. I think the fact that they got so many injuries, starting another quarterback, missing two pass rushers, or, you know, maybe the best pass rusher in the NFL, and another guy inside in Solomon Thomas. But, you know, it's interesting. Psychologically, I think the team has to be down, complaining about the turf. Here they come again. All those injuries, backup quarterback. And the Giants, they got a couple things on their side. All those things I just said, and desperation. 0-2 in the NFL is an unbelievably tough place to be, but 0-3, man, you know, then you start second guessing yourself and what you're doing if you go 0-3.
You know, Phil, we talked to Joe Judge about the whole turf thing that Shanahan and his players brought up last week after the game against the Jets. And Judge said, you know, I had my guys doing a walkthrough virtually every day for a month during training camp. Nobody ever said a word. Everybody's fine with it. For me, I think the distraction of talking about an injury is probably the last thing in the world the 49ers should be doing, because that's when you start getting hurt, is when you think about it, right?
Well, I'm not going to say it lets you get hurt because you're thinking about it, but it can make you apprehensive. There's no doubt. I mean, they haven't let the subject go. I heard it again this morning, some more complaints about the turf. So, you know, the one thing you can do, like all football players, I mean, Bill Parcells used to say it, hey, go take enough pair of shoes, make sure you get the right pair of shoes that works, because I don't want to hear anything about sticking to the turf, you're slipping, or none of that. That is not an excuse that we're going to take. So, you know, the 49ers got to stop thinking about it, talking about it, and knowing, hey, listen, it's the Giants. They're 0-2, but I'll tell you what, this will be a very competitive, close game, and I think the Giants will be in the same position they've been in the first 2 weeks. A chance to win the game. Can they make those few plays down at the end of the game to win?
Phil, one more on the 49ers before we switch our gears to the Giants specifically. You know, Shanahan's known for that outside zone scheme, a lot of play action off of that. I didn't see quite as much of that. Watching their offense on tape the first couple of weeks, a lot more power. They have been pulling their guards a lot on their inside runs. Do you think that has a lot to do with Garoppolo's high ankle sprain? Maybe they don't want him moving as much because of that injury. How do you expect to see them try to operate that offense with Nick Mullins in Week 3?
Well, you know, Nick Mullins has played. I like the way he played a couple years ago when he played, I think, 8 games. But I think he kind of stood out. That's why he beat out Beathard. C.J. Beathard is the backup quarterback. He probably has a better arm and throws it with more power than Jimmy Garoppolo, but he doesn't have that experience. And I know this. You know, the Shanahan offense, it has to be more diverse. I think as the year goes along, they're going to try to do that. It's got a little one-sided. We saw it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, they don't throw it towards the sideline much, things like that. And there's only so many times you can make the fake and throw that play-action pass over the middle. So they're trying to be diverse. I've seen it with other teams. Green Bay, Seattle. A lot of teams have changed their offense and their offensive thinking because, you know, teams, NFL, they study, they get used to it, and they react better to it when they see it.
Phil, I'm curious, from your perspective, when you look at this Giants team over the first 2 games, now maybe the execution wasn't always there, and obviously they're 0-2, but can you already see some of the fingerprints of what a Joe Judge team is in terms of their fight, their discipline, their purpose? Their penalties are certainly down. It just seems to me like maybe he's already starting to have an impact, him and his staff.
Well, listen, I hope so. I do see certain signs. One, I still have great hope for Daniel Jones and believe in him as a franchise quarterback. I think the offensive line has showed some really good signs of how they're playing. I'm still a little puzzled by what I see, what I know they have up front, the fact that they can't run the football a little better. I understand the Steelers just blitzed to high heaven to make sure Saquon Barkley wasn't going to beat them. But the Chicago Bears, they got some big guys up front. They played well, but I still expect more from the Giant run game. And, you talk about the toughness, the competitiveness. It's all there. I've seen it in the first two games. But that's just the first part. As Bill Parcells, I hate to always quote him, but Bill Parcells always used to say, "Men, if I have to commend you about playing hard and hustling, then we have no chance." I want to take that for granted, and I think it's the greatest thing you can ever say. So you expect football teams to come out, be tough, play hard, and hustle every single play. And you got to build. I don't like you saying this word a lot, but I'm going to say it. You got to build a culture where that's just the only way that you're going to play. And if you don't, you're going to be sitting somewhere on the sideline watching the game, or maybe sitting in the stands looking for a job.
All right, this question from at AJ Marshall 3, Phil. You already talked a little bit about the offense in general. That's what he wanted to know about. So how about I switch gears and kind of focus a little bit on Jason Garrett and his scheme? How do you think what Jason Garrett's trying to do schematically fits this Giants offensive personnel?
Well, so far I like what they're doing in the past game, a lot. I think I've been pleasantly surprised at the protection Daniel Jones has been getting. I mean, he's had many plays where he's gone 1-2 and still has time to find the third guy to throw to. So that's impressive. But, Jason Garrett, hey, look, in Dallas, they knew how to run the ball. The offensive line coach, Marco Colombo, they got to get this run game going. Now, I know they picked up Devontae Freeman this week. I covered him early in his career. Maybe he's refreshed himself. I hope he's in great shape. But you talking about a guy that will run in there and get you 3 yards, it is the last carry of his life every time he touches the ball. So maybe he'll provide a spark if it works out. But the running game's got to get going just so they can get some easier throws down the field, more deeper throws, and get guys open because people go, "Oh, I got really fooled by the run."
All right, Phil, question number 2 from our fans. At mstock4rd wants to know how long does it usually take for an offensive line to gel? And I specifically would add the fact that you've got a brand-new center in Nick Gates who hadn't taken a game snap at the position until just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, how long does it take? Well, the longer they play together, of course, that means a couple things. The longer they stay together means they're good enough to stay together. So that's a big deal. And just all the little things that happen during the game, seeing defenses move, seeing people, the different variations, and you're able to not even communicate, just do it because you've done it so much. So that takes a while. But again, I'm just going back to this. The one thing I do, I find silver linings in a couple things. I overall have been, I would be, if I was a Giant fan, I would be happy with the offensive line has shown so far. Yes, not happy about the running game, but they're doing the biggest thing first. They're protecting their quarterback, I think, pretty well.
All right, Phil.
But, to give an answer to it, how long does it take? Hey, look, nothing's overnight. And so it's going to take a while, but I think so far you got to go, okay, this thing's moving in the right direction.
All right, we got at Hunnewell Jason on Twitter, Phil, and I think this might be one of your pet peeves based on what I've seen you talk about on CBS and on Showtime. Does it surprise you how fast people try to label young quarterbacks as busts, and does it drive you nuts?
Oh, yeah. We predict the Heisman Trophy winner in week 1, and I'm watching TV this morning, watching games, and all they're talking about, the MVP. We've played 2 weeks, and it's an unbelievable overriding topic on everything. And I just go, oh, my gosh. Listen, I know this for a fact. I don't know Daniel Jones. Really have never talked to him, but he's got NFL size. He has really good NFL mobility. And I think his accuracy throwing the football is as good as there is out there, right? I mean, I think he's extremely accurate, spins it hard, and when he needs to, he can put the pep on it to throw it into tight coverage. So I can judge it that way quick. Now, playing the game and making it all come together. And sometimes, this is true, having the personality and the will and all those things to bring your players along with you is something we'll find out. You know, I can't judge that now, but I know it's a big deal. And I'll give you one little, there's many examples. But Josh Allen in Buffalo, it's, man, you know, here we go. Let's go on the field. I can't wait to play, and I'm going to go all out. And guys, you know, you can just feel the energy they have when they take the field because their quarterback he's not just all in. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win a game, and that's what you want from your quarterback.
Final question from Twitter we have, Phil, at Jason Stewart XO, and I guess you kind of already addressed this a moment ago. He wanted to know, what does DJ, Daniel Jones, do that makes you say he has what it takes to be an elite NFL quarterback? Maybe I should expand that a little bit since you've already talked about him. When you look at the crop of receivers that he's dealing with, plus tight end Evan Ingram, how much can that enhance his development and accelerate it?
Well, listen. My gosh, any player there's been some really average quarterbacks have great years because they're playing with a tremendous group of people. So, you know, the pass protection, you know, Darius Slayton, what a surprise he's been coming from Auburn and his speed. You know, Sterling Shepard, that's a big deal, losing him or whatever. But Golden Tate, you know, hey, Golden Tate's found new life, the fountain of youth. He still looks quick. You know, that guy you need to bail you out. And, of course, Evan Ingram, hey, they got to find more ways to get the football down the field to him because the NFL, if there's one position that's really blossomed over the last few years, it's tight end. And there's not like a couple good tight ends in the NFL. There is a lot. And it seems to be the new thing. We saw it with Darren Waller with the Los Angeles Raiders. Well, I didn't say Oakland. I'm happy about that. But there's just so many. Every team you see them, and so those guys have the greatest matchup against linebackers and safeties. And what else? They're in front of the quarterback, so that makes it an easier throw usually. So those things. He's got some good weapons. You got to be happy with that. It's good enough, and I think we just need to keep seeing progress from the offense. And, you know, of course, also from the defense. James Bradbury has been exactly what I thought he would be. I liked him in Carolina. I know Dave Gettleman drafted him down there. And you saw his specialty against the Chicago Bears. The receivers running an in cut. There's certain corners you don't do that against. He is one because he reads the quarterback through the receiver. And those kind of corners that keep Talib, Richard Sherman, you don't throw inside because they're going to trail on the back hip and go underneath, and he did a great job knocking the ball up in the air and causing the interception. And my last little thing, Mitchell Trubisky. Cry, moan all you want, Chicago. He really played well in the game. Oh, my God, he threw 2 interceptions. Well, one is because Bradbury made a great play, and they should have known better, but the other one was an unbelievable interception. Trubisky made about 5 or 6 what I call big plays, power plays. How about when he scrambled in the pocket, the old 3-man rush? The 3-man rush comes to haunt you, and that's what you do as a quarterback. By time he did, and he found, Mooney in the back left, or the front left corner of the end zone, which was a huge play of the game.
All right, Phil, final question before we let you go. Just give me a feel. I'm not going to ask you to predict it and give us a score or anything, but what do you think this game on Sunday, Giants and Niners, is going to look at? Is this going to be a grinded-out affair, like a 17-13 type of game, whichever team turns it over less? Just what do you think the feel for this game is going to be on Sunday between these two teams?
I think it'll be like that. It might be the first 1 to 20 wins. I think the Giants, with the injuries up front for the 49ers, with Dee Ford, I think, is out too. I think they can protect Daniel Jones. The coverage of their secondary is okay. They rely on the speed of their linebackers and their rush to get it done. And, I just think the Giants have a really good chance of winning. I think it's going to be – I feel very confident this is going to be a close game. And the Giants are going to have one more time, are going to have a chance to win. And like I said when we started this, can they make that 1 or 2 plays at the end of the game or somewhere, wherever it is, to really give them that advantage to win this game?
That's Phil Simms on the Simms Spotlight, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Tea proudly, Phil. Thanks so much, and we look forward to having you on the show all year long.